Those 5 words had chased Arjun for as long as he could remember. From teachers, neighbors, his classmates, even his own father. But this time, it wasn't someone else saying it. This time, it was the voice inside his head, echoing over and over as he stared at the crumpled report card in his hand. The paper trembled slightly as he clutched it tighter. English failed. Again. Outside, a storm was raging, and in a way, it matched how he felt inside, chaotic, angry, helpless. Arjun was 17, the son of a motorcycle mechanic in a small village in northern India. His home was a tiny 2-room brick house with no internet and barely enough light to study. But that wasn't the problem. He had learned to live with less. The problem was the dream he dared to carry in his heart, a dream too big for the narrow streets of his village. He wanted to become a software engineer and study abroad. He dreamed of working in Silicon Valley, of sending emails in fluent English, of standing tall in conference rooms, sharing ideas with people from around the world. But that dream always hit a wall. English. He had failed it again, for the 3rd year in a row. That evening, his father exploded when he saw the marks. Again? You think dreams are built on failure, he barked, slamming the card onto the table. Maybe it's time you stop pretending to be something you're not. Arjun said nothing. He had learned that his silence often hurt less than his words. Later that night, he climbed up to the roof, wrapped in a blanket, listening to the rain and thunder as they drowned out his shame. But in that darkness, a quiet fire lit inside him. For the first time, he didn't cry. He just made a promise. I'll prove them wrong. No matter what. The next morning, before the sun had even risen, Arjun left the house. He walked 5 kilometers to the town library, a dusty old building with creaky floors, old furniture, and a librarian who barely looked up from her desk. But to Arjun, it was a temple. That day, he picked up The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, even though he could barely understand the first page. Every word felt like a puzzle. But something about the story pulled him in, a boy chasing his dream, no matter the odds. It reminded him of himself. He began to show up every single day. He created his own study plan. 5 a.m., wake up, revise grammar rules. 6 a.m., learn 5 new English words. After school, read aloud from books and newspapers. Evenings, watch English films with subtitles at the library computer. He practiced pronunciation in front of the mirror, recording himself speaking, then replaying it over and over. He would read paragraphs aloud to trees, to the walls, to himself. But not everyone was supportive. His classmates laughed behind his back. Look at him, one boy snickered, thinks he's going to be a foreigner just by watching Hollywood movies. Even teachers smirked when he fumbled over basic sentences in class. It stung. Deeply. But it never stopped him. One day, after a particularly hard week where he'd failed a mock test and overheard classmates mocking his accent, Arjun sat on the library steps, head bowed, thinking maybe they were right. That's when Mr. Thomas found him. Mr. Thomas was the school's retired English teacher, a quiet man who spent his evenings reading in the library. He noticed the boy sitting alone, shoulders slumped. Rough day? He asked gently. Arjun nodded, not lifting his head. You know, I failed English too. Twice, Mr. Thomas said. Arjun looked up, surprised. What changed? He asked quietly. I decided to stop being afraid of it, Mr. Thomas smiled. English is just a language. Not a measure of your worth. But if you want to conquer it, you'll need patience, discipline, and belief. You have that. I've seen it. That was the start of something beautiful. Every Saturday, Mr. Thomas met Arjun at the library. They read stories, acted out conversations, even wrote essays together. He helped Arjun understand that learning a language was less about memorizing and more about connecting with thoughts, ideas, and people. Over the months, Arjun changed. Slowly but surely. He launched a small Speak English club at school for anyone who was struggling. At first, only 3 students showed up. But week after week, more joined. He stood in front of them, leading conversations, encouraging others, still stumbling sometimes, but never stopping. His confidence soared. He started answering questions in class. He debated. He helped others. The boy who once avoided eye contact now stood tall, with purpose. Then came the final board exams. The wait for the results was torture. For days, Arjun barely ate or slept. He'd poured everything he had into this year. And then, the day came. He stood in the school courtyard, heart pounding, as the principal read out the names of top scorers. Arjun Mehra, 91 in English. Topped the school in English literature. Gasps. Claps. Disbelief. Arjun didn't move. He just stood still, overwhelmed, until someone nudged him forward. His feet moved on their own, applause surrounding him. Back home, his father didn't say a word. He simply handed him a cup of tea and sat beside him. After a long pause, he said quietly, "I was wrong about you." That was all Arjun had ever needed to hear. 2 years later, Arjun stood at Delhi International Airport, backpack over his shoulder, passport in hand. A scholarship had taken him to London for a degree in computer science. As he waited to board, he thought back to the boy on the rooftop. The storm. The fear. The failure. And the fire. He took a deep breath and smiled. I proved myself. Final message, voiceover style. We all have battles. Some are visible, some are silent. For Arjun, it was a language. For you, it might be something else. But remember, failure isn't the end, it's a lesson. And the only person you need to compete with is the one you were yesterday. Don't let the world define your limits. Believe in your dream. Work for it. Fight for it. And prove yourself.